Good evening. You're now watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Vincent Chan, and here's a look at tonight's top stories. The tournament that places Hong Kong on the world rugby map returns after being sidelined by COVID. Xi Jinping tells Germany's Olaf Scholz that they should strive for peace. And the Hong Kong stock market has surged, recording its best weekly gain in 11 years. After 3.5 years, the Hong Kong Sevens is back, but fans have to follow strict COVID rules. Janice Low reports.
It's an event that rugby fans and those wanting to have a good time have missed since COVID hit Hong Kong. Now it's back, but fans have to scan their Leave Home Safe app and present their negative rapid antigen test results. Only those with a blue code are admitted. This man was among a group of South Africans denied entry because they held amber codes.
We arrived yesterday. We were not aware of any issues this side. Because in South Africa, we don't wear masks anymore. We don't even know how to do the rapid tests. We didn't know you have to be here 3 days before you can actually enter any parks.
Duplessis had made plans to visit the city 6 months ago. But this group, dressed up as cowgirls, were well prepared for their first Sevens, as they have been in Hong Kong for months.
It's just like a nice connection to be part of it.
It's like usually so international and so important. In Germany, we also love going to sports events.
I also think it's a highlight for us because now there are less COVID regulations, and I think this is probably one of the biggest events that we will attend in Hong Kong.
The chairman of the Rugby Union admitted that revenue is around 25% lower compared to pre-COVID tournaments.
If I understand it, that number is the broader economic contribution to Hong Kong from the tournament. I suspect it probably is accurate because obviously there's less international tourists here spending money in Hong Kong, so I think inevitably the overall economic benefit will be down slightly for Hong Kong.
There are fewer teams this time round, but Brooks hopes things will return to the glory of pre-COVID times when Hong Kong hosts a full tournament early next year.
There are plenty of food and drink options, but they do not come cheap. A pint of beer sets you back $80, and while that may sound reasonable, if you decide to complete your meal with a cheeseburger and some chips, you'll need to fork out $270 in total. Janice Low, HKIBC.
We'll have field action from the Sevens later, but first, President Xi Jinping has told German Chancellor Olaf Scholz that the two nations should work together during the current turbulent times. Scholz is the first Western leader to meet Xi since the pandemic. Wenna Wang reports.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz stood shoulder to shoulder with President Xi Jinping today. He's the first Western leader to do so since the COVID pandemic. Speaking inside Beijing's Great Hall of the People, Xi said both countries are influential powers and should work together for peace in times of change and chaos. He also stressed there should be mutual respect and warned political trust is easy to destroy and difficult to rebuild. On the war between Russia and Ukraine, Xi said he supports efforts to promote peace talks. We should all oppose the use of nuclear weapons. A nuclear war cannot erupt, and we cannot have a nuclear crisis in the Eurasian continent, he said. Scholz, meanwhile, said Germany is willing to exchange views on issues where both sides hold inconsistent positions. He added his country does not condone forming cliques and rivalries. The German leader's trip this time is being seen as cozying up with China amid Xi's soaring tensions with the West. The list of German business leaders chosen to accompany Scholz is also being scrutinized. They include executives from BMW and Volkswagen, two of the country's largest car makers, which rely heavily on Chinese factories. Executives of pharmaceuticals BioNTech, Merck, and Bayer are also part of the delegation. Scholz had earlier said it's important to strike a balance in maintaining relations with China. Wenna Wang, HKIBC.
Locally, a company owned by the husband of the former justice minister is facing a fine of $150 million for violating antitrust laws. This comes after the Competition Commission announced that the engineering service provider had admitted liability and agreed to cooperate. Joanna Ho reports.
Almost 5 months after being sued by the city's competition watchdog, Atel Building Services Engineering has admitted violating antitrust laws. Its parent company, Analog Holdings, is owned by Otto Poon, the husband of former Justice Secretary Teresa Chang. Under a cooperation agreement with the Competition Commission, Atel will pay a penalty of $150 million and the legal and investigation costs. But considering that both Atel and Analog Holdings had actively approached the Commission, the watchdog will seek an adjournment of litigation against the parent company in the first round of proceedings, which is ongoing. But proceedings against Atel will continue. The watchdog commenced legal action against Atel and another firm, Shunheng Engineering Contracting Company, in June after discovering evidence of an air conditioning works cartel. The projects, worth about $2 billion, were undertaken between 2015 and 2019 when 2 senior engineers from Atel and a senior manager at Shunheng communicated frequently. In June, Poon said he was not worried and cited a Chinese idiom, "Real gold is not afraid of the fire in the furnace." Poon couldn't be reached for comment today. Analog Holdings said in a statement this morning that its business and financial situation remains stable despite the negative impact of the agreement with the Commission. The second round of proceedings will commence soon, and litigation against Shunheng and its senior manager will continue. Analog Holdings will not be named as a party in the second round. Joanna Ho, HKIBC.
Overseas, supporters of former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan are staging large-scale protests a day after he was shot and wounded. Khan is in stable condition in hospital and is determined to continue a march to demand fresh polls. Azam Khan reports.
Roads were blocked and tires burned as protests erupt across Pakistan following the assassination attempt on former Prime Minister Imran Khan yesterday. His supporters are demanding justice and a change of leadership at the helm of government. Khan was shot in the leg in the city of Wazirabad as he led his Tehreek-e-Insaf party on a march from Lahore to the capital Islamabad to demand early elections. 1 person was killed and several others were injured. The gunman was arrested on the spot. Security was beefed up in the hospital, where he's in stable condition.
And doctors are really happy with his recovery, and he'll soon be getting discharged from the hospital. But Alhamdulillah, he's in very high spirits, and he said our convoy, our march will continue in a couple of days, maybe tomorrow, not today, maybe tomorrow he'll start again this march.
Khan has blamed the attack on Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, who has called for a transparent inquiry into the assassination attempt. The cricket legend turned politician accused Sharif of conspiring with the United States to remove him. Khan headed Pakistan's government for almost 4 years before he was ousted in April after losing a no-confidence vote. Azam Khan, HKIBC.
Hong Kong stock market has posted its best weekly gain in 11 years, with the benchmark rebounding almost 9% this week after an historical rout. Tech stocks were the main drivers of this spectacular surge. Chloe Feng reports.
Continued speculation that the mainland is poised to ditch its zero-COVID policy provided a shot in the arm for the battered Hong Kong and Chinese stock markets. The Hang Seng Index headed north from the open, surpassing 16,000 points in an hour, before closing 5.4% higher at 16,161 points. Turnover at $188 billion was highest in 4 months. According to some analysts, any single spark can start a prairie fire. But others predict that while the upward momentum will continue in the coming sessions, the city's bear market status will not change. The sharp rebound was notably powered by tech shares, with the tech index edging up 7.5%. Bilibili led the rally with a gain of over 17%. Alibaba advanced nearly 11%. Tencent jumped 7.8% and Meituan rose 5.7%. Consumer-related shares also surged. Shabu Shabu jumped 16.3%, Haidilao gained 10.1%, and Li Ning 12.4%. Car makers went up a gear with XPeng, NIO, and Li Auto accelerating between 17 and 24%. The Shanghai Composite's weekly gain of 5.3% was the highest in 2 years. The optimism spread to the offshore yuan, which rose over 1%, while iron ore futures soared. Today's bounce saw the Hang Seng Index record its biggest weekly gains in 11 years, but is still one of the world's worst performers, with a loss of about 30% so far this year. Chloe Feng, HKIBC.
Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index closed up 821 points. And the top 10 active stocks, Tencent up $17.20, Alibaba up $6.90, and Meituan up $8. BYD up $9.60, and JD.com up $19.10. Forex trading against Hong Kong dollars, the euro is at 7.69 and the British pound is at 8.79. The London FTSE is up 106 points. Onto the weather now. It will be cool and mainly cloudy tomorrow. Temperatures will range between 20 and 23 degrees. Expect more clouds and some rain after the weekend. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Friday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Vincent Chan. Good night.